Hello, all you vicarious vermin. It's turn number 39 of the Skavenblight game. So we've completed research and evocation. I think we're up to level level 5, and we're researching level 6, and we're going to do level 7 after that. Just as a reminder of what we've gotten recently in evocation. Warp Scorch, Fireball, Fire Fire, these are all kind of like very standard things. Possibly we'll use Magic Duel, but because our Astral Mages are all quite expensive, that's not a great one for us. But yeah, some things we can use there. At level 4 we got access to Warp Lightning, which is a very nice spell. Costs a gem, but it throws out a very large number of effects, of basically just lightning bolts. We've also got Blade Wind, which is going to start as a chaff. Nether Bolt, which can be used by our Grey Seers. Banefire Dart can be used as well by our Grey Seers and by Warlocks. So quite a bit there. We could also cast Fire Cloud all over the place with our Flame Spirit. And then, yeah, level 5 Warp Scorch, which is quite similar to Falling Fires, but cheaper to cast, and it's specifically for Warlocks to use. Falling Fires and Earthquake, which is very nice. So Earthquake hits the entire battlefield. They get to make defense rolls against it. Skaven have okay defense, so it's not bad for them. A lot of other mages that the enemy uses are probably going to have worse defense. And yeah, it takes Earth Gems, and if you fire off a bunch of those and the enemy has a lot of weak, small mages, which the Lizardmen do, that could be a good tactic. It's not that hard to cast either. You can take an Earth 3 with Earth Boots, Earth Power them up to Earth 4, cast that with 3 gems. Yeah, that's not a problem. And Shadow Blast, which can be cast by quite a few of us. We've got quite a few Death 2 units, and of course does armor negating damage. Magic resistance is good against it, but it also paralyzes things sometimes. So generally just very good for blowing holes in kind of elite units. When we go to level 6, we get Magma Eruption, Greater Warp Lightning, Mind Hunt, which is very good, but we need to research Mind Burn or Soul Slave for that to be of any use at all. And Banefire, if we can get things that have fire up to Death 3, which is possible with Grey Seers and the Warlocks, then we can cast Banefire, which is fantastic against elite troops and also against super combatants and thugs and things. It can't really be resisted. Pretty much you just have to have massive quantities of armor because it does 55 plus armor piercing damage. Yeah, a very strong spell. So yeah, quite a bit there. The reason that we're considering going to level 7, and I may change my mind, but I do think it would be good, is Nether Darts for the Grey Seers, and casting Firestorm using our Flame Spirits or similar. With possibly have to use some boosters to get up there, but we've got Phoenix Power can get us from 3 to 4, and then we've got Skulls of Fire can get us from yeah, 4 to 5 then with Phoenix Power, and then we can cast Firestorm, so it's not terribly hard for us to cast that. If the enemy starts rocking out loads of anti-fire stuff, then obviously a lot of these spells get turned off, but it would be nice to have that against large enemies. Earthquake and Firestorm are both very useful for that. And then maybe we'll get to Pillar of Fire if we keep going up here, but that's kind of very expensive in terms of research. So, another global has gone up. This is Slaanesh, and they have cast Riches from Beneath, which I think is mostly gives them resources, but also gives them some extra gold. It's one of the least worrying globals, I think, but it's probably going to be quite useful to them. It is a bit sad that we don't have any globals. We haven't really been trying to go for any of them in particular. Maybe we should have, but it's just not something that's been interesting to me, really. Got some blood slaves, and then let's have a look at the battles. So we've got 2 battles that we were involved in. One is us fighting the knights, and then there's a couple of other ones. I'll save the one against the High Elves for last because that's probably the biggest and most impressive. So let's have a look at us fighting the knights first. So this was a bunch of knights took over one of our provinces. As you can see, we've sent some chaff, including all of these goats that I got, a bunch of weapons teams, and then a large block of our elite council guard, and then just a few other pieces, gutter runners and clan rats. And here's the knights. Knights are a lot nastier than heavy cavalry because they just have better stats, pretty much all round, higher strength, hit points, attack skill, defense skill, better morale. Morale in particular being, very nice at 13 for an indie troop, and very good protection. So pretty nasty and can ordinary troops can struggle against them quite a bit, but we've got a lot of stuff that's armor piercing and armor negating. So yeah, we've also got lots of chaff to get in the way of those lances. Well done, goats. You've done a good job there. You can see there's Vermintide slipping through, the little rats from Vermintide going through, and then our Sacreds are actually pretty good at chopping up knights. They hit hard enough. Our weapons teams are roasting a few of our own guys, which is a bit unfortunate, but do. And the gutter runners are throwing in these shuriken, which do poison, but only if they actually manage to do damage to anything, which is quite hard against the knights. So let's have a little look at what we lost. Not very much. 5 clan rats, a council guard. Well, unfortunate, but it's only one. The goats, 3 night runners. Okay, 2 giant rats. Yeah, that's fine. All completely acceptable stuff. Then we've got a battle of the ogres attacking Tilea. This is just taking out some province defense. Tilea has now gone AI, so that player, because they lost so many mages, I guess they thought it wasn't really worth them putting up like that kind of last few turns of fighting, and they were definitely done for. Slightly frustrating because the people we fought have all kind of gone down swinging, like Bretonnia and Altdorf, and then people that are other people are attacking in a couple of cases have just gone AI. Although Tilea put up a good fight before they went AI. Then we've got a battle in Urfel. This is the Greenskins, the Orcs and Goblins, going and taking province that was belonging to the High Elves. So, you know, sort of medium size for the Orcs and Goblins. They can field really massive armies of just stuff. Yeah, just taking on some High Elf province defense and a few leftover Lion Chariots, looks like. So the Lion Chariots do very well. You can see just how nasty they are. They're doing great. But they're just so heavily outnumbered that eventually they take too many hits. The Riders go down, the Lions go down. Yeah. Yeah, all gone. And then those are not going to last at all. So, but good to see the High Elves getting punished for wherever we get to see that is nice. I'm assured that there's quite a nasty war going on between the High Elves and the Greenskins now. But the Greenskins, I think, are getting the better of it. So let's see how we did against the High Elves. So this is a very big fight. If you recall, I had moved in thinking, well, maybe they would attack that province, and I had moved a big army in there, and I had assassins in the other provinces. But we get to see a nice big fight. So this is the fight that I've got probably the most mages committed. You can see I've got, we talked about this a lot last time, but just to recap the kind of mages I've got: Flame Spirits, who are casting Fire Elementals and Flaming Arrows. Lots of weapons teams. These are firing the poison out there. These are firing lightning, and these are firing fire. Some fire snakes. Lots and lots of chaff, which is basically just to hold the chariots in place. 2 doom wheels, who have, when they're getting close, they trample things, but at long range, they just fire tons of warp lightning. So they're very similar to having like several warp lightning thrower teams. So they're going to be firing away, but they are undisciplined. We've got some ghosts, and then we've got all of these warlocks at the front. They'll be casting fire elementals. So there'll be a whole row of fire elementals coming up, big ones. At the back, we've got some Vermintide casters, Graciers. We've got a water elemental because I think this Gracier has a water bottle. They do, yeah, bottle of living water, so they get that automatically. And we've got some Blood Slaves, so we'll be casting imps as the battle goes along. And then back here, we're doing a little bit of skitter leaping. So we've got all these mages. I still haven't quite got this arrangement of mages and troops right on, so that they end up next to each other and they skitter leap the right stuff. But I suspect not that many things are going to be given flight by skitter leap. We've also got some sensor bearers who are very good at killing, elite units with not very many hit points and no poison resistance. On the other side, oh, the shots are flying. Huge number of lion chariots. I mean, even having killed a third of them, it really is still a huge number of them. There's just tons, and they stretch all the way across. They're going to try and attack around both flanks. And then these very expensive. I think these are 220 gold each, and you can only build 1 per turn. But they have absolutely lethal amount of fire they put out. They're like tons of crossbows, basically. And then mage-wise, there weren't that many left. There's a bunch of Harathoi mages, who are the Fire 1 Astral ones. And then back here, there's the Priestess of Aisha, but they haven't been given any gems. It looks like there wasn't a scout tagging along to give them gems. I thought there might be, but it looks like that's not the case. You can see just in the air here, this is our Poison Wind mortars firing, and incoming is a massive load of ballista shots, which are going to tear this bit of the map up rather nicely. So one of my Doom Wheels is immediately roasted. There's all my Fire Elementals going off. You could see Death Frenzy got cast, which is a big frenzy spell, cast with Death for Skaven. But it has magic resistance negates, so they'll target things with low magic resistance, which is basically rats and stuff like that, animals, which is good for me. Although it's also frenzied some of these fire snakes here who've got high magic resistance, so sometimes it does manage to get through the resistance and will frenzy anything. Lots of imps getting cast, lots of weapons teams going off. Might have to have a couple of looks at this battle because there is a lot happening here. I tell you what, let's just concentrate on the further away part of it first, the northern bit of the battle. So we can see the weapons teams are doing great and the line chariots are absolutely melting. Where they're running into the fire elementals are trashing them, and they just can't get through all the chaff. The ghosts are blocking these lions rather nicely over here, and they're doing just fine. And over here we've got an earth elemental and imps and lots of vermintide, and it's just stopping them from getting around the side. You recall I also cast several casts of Will-o'-the-Wisps, and they come in from the side of the battlefield, and so do corpse candles, so it's a nice thing to stop flankers. You can have them come in. And I think some come in from the back as well, yeah, so you can see here, this mage is being interrupted by an imp attacking them and by Will-o'-the-Wisp attacking them, and over here there's some corpse candles, and also some of our Council Guard and Stormlemen. You can see they're just landing there. They've been skitter-leaped over. So we'll look a bit more at what's happening here on a second replay, but basically the Fire Elementals and tons of weapons teams have chewed up all of these Lion Chariots, and they got held up by all the vermin and chaff that I was putting out. And a similar thing has happened in the centre. There's just tons of Fire Elementals. Even if they'd had twice as many Lion Chariots, I'm not sure they would have been able to get through this, just because there's so much Fire Elemental stuff and so many troops in the way. Yeah, we can have another look at later at what's happening in the south. So we can see now their line's completely collapsed, and they're just getting torn apart. All of their mages and things getting picked off at the back. I'm not sure if the priestess got away. We can kind of rewatch that bit. That's their main general, the noble, getting shredded. Yeah, not that much seems to be escaping, but what do our losses look like? It's mostly our kind of chaff at the front that's got killed, although I think a fair few of our council guard may have also eaten it in that fight. We'll have a look at the casualties in a bit. Let's just re-watch this. I'll just go at normal speed, and we'll watch kind of a bit zoomed out to see what happens here. So you can see the poisons coming in on these guys, so even early on, that's not a good example, but yeah, this one's taken a fair bit of poison damage. They're kind of in trouble from the poison. Yeah, that second volley from the bolt throwers immediately kills the other doom wheel, which is a shame. Now down here, these guys, so up here we saw last time what happened to them in the centre. The Plague Sensor Bearers do a good bit of poisoning up here. Quite a bit of poison damage going out. These guys seem to mostly run into a Fire Elemental, and then Corpse Candles, and some chaff intercepts them here. I'm very glad that nothing's really getting around the flanks and hitting my mages. Yeah, in the centre this is a kind of a combination of my Storm Vermin, Plague Sensors, lots of weapons team fire, and then just tons of Fire Elementals, just completely stop them in the middle. Back here, yeah. Let's just going to do this one more replay here because I want to see exactly what happens with the back with these mages. So let's ignore the Lion Chariots and just look at the Ballista, the mages, bodyguards and things. Poison coming in. Should have some flyers coming in soon. Corpse Candles. So here come the Corpse Candles from the side. More poison coming in. Imps coming in. More Corpse Candles. More poison coming in. Lots of nice poison. She doesn't have any flying shoes or anything. How is she going to get away from this imp? So there, that's our flying squad comes in. And they actually do pretty well. The mages basically are non-functional at that point with all these flyers. And they take up some of the shots from these ballista. Because they're close, the ballista just shoot at them. I'm really surprised at how well this mage is holding up. I guess because they are lucky, regenerating, and they've got okay defense skill. But oh, they just took 7 damage there. So this is starting to fall now. Our flying in troops didn't do too great. This mage has managed to survive, but the others are all dead. And then she manages to rout. Yeah, there was nothing standing in her way, so she's just run off. That's a shame. So I think she's going to escape. But yeah, then our forces just roll through and destroy all of these. So let's have a look at the scorecard, as it were. So on their side, they lost at their commanders. Everything except one Harathoi mage seems to have run away. And the Priestess of Aisha seems to have escaped, but everything else dead. That's good. Harathoi mages are 130 gold, but not terribly important. Eagle Claw bolt throwers, all dead, all 8 of them. They did a lot of damage, but 220 gold each, and only 1 per turn, so that's a very expensive loss. Now again, it doesn't really matter to the High Elves, because these troops weren't doing anything useful out here. They were really just to mess with me, and they weren't getting them any gold or anything. So them dying is actually going to free up gold for the High Elves in a way, but it's very good for me to get this stuff out of the way so I don't have to deal with it anymore, and I can go and pursue other things, such as fighting the Lizardmen. Then the Lion Chariots, 48 out of 50 destroyed, so they're effectively gone as a fighting force. All the Ranger bodyguards and the Noble killed. What did we lose? Well, the good news is no commanders whatsoever. And in terms of troops, 15 Censer Bearers, so that hurts a bit because they're 25 gold each, but they, I think they did okay work. Yeah, they killed a few of the Lion Chariots, and yeah, they're just very fragile Censer Bearers. I think they're difficult to use as your main sacred. My main sacred is obviously the Council Guards more so, and they're actually a little bit cheaper, but of course they're capital only. So we did lose 10 Council Guards, which again, it's not ideal really. Clan Rats, very little lost. 3 Fire Snakes, it's fine. We just wanted them as some extra backup. Didn't lose any of our ghosts, which is amazing really, because they have 0 protection. It's just the fact that they were ethereal that kept them going, and I think they have... Yeah, they have a life drain attack, so they were getting their hit points back as they were chomping on stuff. So maybe they did take some damage, but kept themselves alive by biting things. Yeah, very impressed. 5 ghosts did very well. They held up several lion chariots, killed 3 things, which is basically going to be lions or lion chariots. Giant rats died. That was their job. Poison Wind Mortar teams got a couple of kills and survived. Skaven slaves died. That was their job. The Doom Wheels got no kills, which is very unfortunate, and both of them died. So not a very impressive debut for the Doom Wheels, but I think that was mostly because the Eagle Claw bolt throwers were set to fire larger targets. So one thing that they did do, just by being large targets, was drawing their fire away from hitting potentially other things or shooting some of the people casting fire elementals. 5 Store Vermin, yeah, fine, whatever. And then 3 Warp Lightning Thrower teams. I mean, bit annoying that we lost those 3. I'm not sure. Probably bolt throwers hit them. But yeah, this was the equivalent, our equivalent of the enemy's bolt throwers, just having tons of these warp fire throwers, warp lightning, and this output of fire from the poison wind. Very similar, but we didn't lose very much of ours in the end. So overall, I'm pretty happy with that. It looks to me like I basically had quite a bit of overkill. I didn't need quite so many things committed. I could have relied on the fire elementals a lot more, but this is the thing: is that because whoever loses a huge fight like that, especially if there's things with flying or things that are very fast or on the flanks charging around, whoever loses tends to lose a lot of stuff. And by a lot of stuff, I don't just mean the troops, I mean all of the supporting mages. Lots of them can get picked off or end up retreating. And as we saw from the last time I had a big retreat, sometimes things just retreat into enemy territory and die. So maybe that's happened to the Priestess of Aisha, the Harathoi mage. They didn't have any, they only had one friendly province to retreat into, I believe. So good chance some of them died. Yeah, that's basically ended the High Elf threat up there for now, and a lot of this stuff can now be repositioned. I hope you also enjoyed another massive chaotic Skaven battle with lots of stuff dying on both sides. That seems to be what we're specialising in, not really clean fights where we just get away with stuff. It's always both sides taking bad casualties. So let's have a quick look at these events. We've got another Warpstone team. This is fun because I just protected this province, Clon, that had a temple in it. That was the one that I protected from the High Elves and successfully repelled their attack. And then the Sloppy Acolytes went and burned the temple down. Thanks, guys. Good work. Now, Titan's Breath Peaks, we lose a couple of Dominion. That's not great, but okay. And then White Peaks, we gain a Pilgrim from distant lands, and I have renamed this guy from Watha the Pilgrim to Ratophile the Pilgrim because he's clearly a big fan of the rats, which all of you guys are too. We lost a scout out there, I think. Yep. So this is a huge orc army that's patrolling around. And then we did some patrolling of our own and killed a few things. So what are we doing now? Well, let's have a look at the High Elf situation first. So they've only got 1 province left. I talked to the Ogres, and they are taking that province. In case the High Elves move to any of these 2 provinces with anything that they've got left here, the Priestess of Aisha, who did survive, may be able to do something. It's possible. So I've just put a Flame Spirit in each of these provinces set to summon Fire Elemental, and then over here there's some Imp Summoners as well. Sisk Dar, he's not supposed to be there. Where are you? Should be headed off here. So the vast majority of these troops, some of them are going back to this fort. The vast majority of them are headed over to this fort because it's more central, and because we're preparing for war with the Lizardmen. Now, we're not attacking the Lizardmen this turn because not everything's really in the right position. We're not going to end up doing a massive sneak attack because I just don't think I've got time to set that up. The Lizardmen are very big as well and wouldn't really have that much of a problem kind of deploying Mind Hunt. They've got things that can move in the magic phase, lots of armies. They could probably hit a lot of the stuff that I snuck in and did things with pretty early on. So instead what I'm doing is going to have more of a conventional push into their territory, maybe going to stealth take some things, try and push towards their capital, which really isn't that far away from my territory. Try and rapid siege some of these provinces, of course, because that's what Skaven are good at. Quickly take them and steal the fort, and even if we lose it, they have to spend longer sieging it than we would. And yeah, a big part of this strategy is having tons of assassins. So you can see here I've got 2 assassins going out with their water bottles. I'm going to keep forging water bottles. I have a great many assassins coming from over here that have various items. You can see tons of mages heading over, but we also have all of these assassins who have, the lesser things like the Amulet of the Dead, or no weapon at all. They just try and stab things with their knives. But also we've got one who's got the Burning Pearl and the Lifelong Protection. We've got water bottles, and we've got more lifelong protections we're going to be making. But I'm also forging the Black Heart, which is an item you can give to any stealthy commander and gives them the assassin ability. So you can give it to one of your mages. For me, it would probably be good on either one of my Pestilence Play Priests, because they can just cast Vermintide and Skeletons in their assassination battles. They don't need any items for that. Or I could potentially give it to one of my fire mages and cast fire elementals, or I could cast combustion, incinerate, spells like that are guaranteed to hit and just burn the enemy up. I could also give it to spectral mages, would be good with them. Finally, I could give it to a Grey Seer, who obviously can do a lot. They've got very nasty magic, but I think they're a little bit expensive to waste running off just assassinating people. Speaking of what I'm doing in terms of forging, I am forging the Brazen Vessel with Rat of Fourtails, having given her a Bloodthorn. Now, her actual equipment that she's going to be using when she goes off to fight something, she's going to be kind of she's not going to be in the first wave necessarily, but she'll be, because she can fly, a kind of rapid response that I'll be using, and I'll try and keep her in my Dominion because I'm worried about the Lizardmen just teleporting a bunch of things on there to try and soul slay her, because that's definitely something they can do with their high astral. So she's going to be flying around, anti-magic resistances, a helmet that is good, doesn't really need to do anything other than just be good. I'd rather have a better helmet there, but I just didn't happen to have one. I'm at 4 at some point. 2 shields, so she's going to have both ore and a fire shield. And then she's going to have a firebrand, and she's also going to have a frostbrand. But this turn, she's doing a bit of forging, so the Bloodthorn gets her to Blood 5. She can then start forge the Brazen Vessel, and then I'll have 2 Blood Boosters. And with the 2 Blood Boosters, I can give those to Skrulk. They'll go to Blood 4, and there's quite a bit that I can do with those. I could potentially also get her to Blood 6, and there's a few things that I could do with that. So it just gives me kind of more options for building back up. I think I can make the Armor of Souls. Let me check. Sorry about that. The Armor of Souls is... it's a bit unfortunate. It's Blood 5, so it would really need my god to do that. I can't do it with Skrulk, who's on Blood 2, even with 2 Blood Boosters. Yeah, I'll have to think about, maybe I'll be doing that next turn, but I really want to set these Blood Boosters up for me. Yeah, so that's pretty much what I'm doing in terms of forging. You see my research. I have some just where are you going? Well, for now you can just research there, maybe site search in fact. Let's do a quick double site search of that one. I'm moving mostly everything from this. I do have some things I'm leaving behind. But yeah, like I'm leaving a Flame Spirit who could guide here against various things if they became a problem. But I'm moving the vast majority of my mages and a lot of extra troops over here. I'm also recruiting some more Storm Vermin because I have been losing a lot of just my basic troops fairly often. And I'm getting a lot more Warlocks this turn that I'm recruiting just for mage purposes, since they are my premier battle mage basically. And a lot of this is going to be decided by battle mages hurling stuff at each other. I think it's going to be fun. I don't think that I'm in a winning position against the Lizardmen. I might be with the help of the Chaos Dwarves. But it really is time that I got on with fighting them because they have insane research, they've got this great economy, and they're going to come after me eventually anyway, it's certain. And I'm going to hope to retain good diplomatic relations with these other nations. I'm not really making so much of a throne play here, although by going against the Lizardmen I do get access to the Obsidian Waste. It's more that I want to carve out this big chunk of territory and really solidify this. and then see what kind of thrones I can pick off. It's quite hard to just win with thrones, given that the requirements on that front. Oh, sorry, it's in statistics. The requirements are 13 ascension points, and you can see that would require me taking 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of these 2-pointers and a 3-pointer. So it's it's a lot of thrones you have to take, and at the moment a lot of them are unclaimed, and I've only got 1 2-pointer, so not really in the running. The Lizardmen are in the lead, but they've only got 3 points, so no one's really making a play for the throne yet. Just kind of trying to win their wars and build their economy and build their research and so on. So yeah, pretty busy turn, some big fights and lots of planning going on. But this is gonna have to be, how we'll see how we do against the Lizardmen. I think next turn. I'm not sure if it'll be next turn or the turn after I start attacking. I definitely want more assassins to just be in position. I feel very out of position to be attacking the Lizardmen. I'm so used to just moving loads of stuff and planning it carefully, and I've really just had to deal with these high elves and not really come up with a good plan for the Lizardmen yet. I'm just kind of building stuff I know is generally useful and getting my mages into position to do something, but I haven't actually started my war yet, and I haven't really started the planning. I think this is the point in Dominions where it gets quite complicated, and I have to be careful that I'm not putting in kind of too much effort into my turns, because I find it's not enjoyable if I'm spending, like a really long time having to work on every turn. It feels like too much of a chore, and I think it might make for some boring videos as well. So I'm just kind of gonna YOLO it a little bit and just try and have some fun and show off some Skaven stuff, but hopefully not in a way that's totally brainless like an AI. Okay, guys, thanks for watching, and I will see you next time.